Well, hello there, happy campers. We're back again doing the second class of object-oriented programming in Perl. This is the abstract factory. We're going to basically, this is a continuation of what we've done with just doing the factory. And this I'm doing a little bit differently. I'm going to be showing a basic screencast, and I'm showing right off the top here, I'm showing what our basic builds are going to look like. So I've put together a quick UML which shows the abstract factory in a very basic sense. What we've got here is we have the different types of factory. I've labeled them generically here, factory 1 through 3. The example here is that these will have their own set of products, which are, this is from a whole product catalog, if you will. So with that, we can define the gang of 4 definition as basically defining all these classes up front. And it's best to do that. However, where you've got a situation where you may have, I don't know, 100 factories and 1,000 products, and to create them all up front can be quite a burden to create, and then of course a burden to maintain. One of the nice things about it is that you only create the classes that are required for that factory. So that will cut down on that number, but it's still a lot of classes. We're going to go with that example. We're going to go with that setup at the beginning, and then we're going to show how we vary that to make it a little more real world friendly. So what we have here is we've got, these are our concretes that are sitting here, and these guys are sitting here at the bottom. And we then in turn go up to our products, which is going to have the bulk of our methods. So let me pop out of there, go back to the code. This is what the finished code is going to look like. We of course are going to build up to what it is right here. So abstract factory is the name of the library. I've got that created in a lib directory, and I've got abstractfactory.t is the name of my test script, which is sitting in the test directory. I have got my debugger that's sitting on, in fact, let me pop out of here. I've got my debugger that's sitting at the root of that directory. So I've got a, I've got a libt. In fact, I'm going to take this out completely. Quit this and then clean the screen. Clear the screen. There. Okay. So I then call up my debugger. I get that. I do a quick, just a baseline run, make sure everything is okay. Haven't dropped any classes, any semicolons. And now I can see that I've got, if I took out this, my baseline is working correctly. And I can see my class. All right, wonderful. Okay, what I've done is I've now gone through, I've taken that first class, and I've made some basic tests in here. I'm going to create a factory, from factory 1, which is F1. Do the same for F2 and for F3. And I'm going to actually run tests so that I can confirm that those tests have been correctly created. Oh, that was tough. And so what I've got here, I'm going to basically go into my debugger, reset, and then I start. Okay, so when I do the continue, it runs through everything and gets through the end of that breakpoint. Okay, so what is it doing here? I'm basically telling it to create F1, which is of type factory1, which I've got there. I've created to basically say, hey, is product 1 going to be viable for the factory 1? And it is. And I can see here, when I look at factory 1 of my valid products, these are the products that I should that I only create for. And when I create that, it picks up that list as well as what's the actual factory setting. I can see this in the debugger by doing an F1, and I can see that color is set to red. The factory type. Factory is the same as what the class type is, and I've got my valid products that are sitting there. And in fact, what we can do is if I go back to here, and if I try to say, is valid product, well, let's go with 11. So we don't have a product 11. So got invalid product 11. I then rerun, and sure enough, there we go. Now also you can see here that I have, I'm going to take out product 3, and I'm going to try to add and is valid product 3 valid, and it's going to be no. Got a got invalid product for factory 1, and this was product 3. All right, so we go through. And there we go. We then see that works. If it failed, right, if I basically said that should be a 1, that's the kind of error I'm going to get there. So it's nice. It tells you, hey, you were waiting for this, but you got that. So that's not what we want. And of course, if it's wrong, then of course fix the code. So, what else have we got going on that's here? Each of the concretes, all I've done here is I've specified what their product list is going to be, and then sent that up to a constructor, which is up in the abstract class. So it's kind of a cheat. I know the abstract is not supposed to have a constructor, but it has the essence of the constructor. Like basically, I'm using a wrapper that's sitting right here on each of the concretes. Each of the methods that's there, we're already seeing here with isValidProduct, each of the concretes are using that. And if I took a look here at factory 2, right, I see different valid products that are there, and of course, same with factory 3. And they coincide with the list that we have there. So I'm going to mark this up a little bit more and go with the next part where I'm doing products. Okay, so now we've got products that are in here. And of course I got the split screen action going on here. The big change here is that I'm defining that top level abstract, which is products. I've got a list of products that it knows about. Some sugar that's here, that so we don't have to type in with the braces, a verification, and some of the methods that will be used by each of the products. I used a focus and an unfocus. I'm sure your imagination or the real world will dictate what would be the ones to do there. Here I've created product 1, product 2 are as simple as you can get, just straight. They're concretes, and they just use whatever's in the abstract. Product factory, I've shown it's dependent now on product 1, so, and that has that corresponding there. Same with product 2, factory 2. I've created a focus just to show you that I can still, it's your typical inheritance type of object-oriented code where I can call the parent method as well as, throw some code before it, after it, whatever the situation dictates. And product 3 is just, again, another takeoff on having a straight abstract, having a straight concrete picking up from the abstract. Okay, and then back over to here, you can see that the testing is set up so that I'm seeing the actual product. I'm adding spurious, there's a $10 word, details so that we as we add other details to the object, they get picked up and they do get tested right down here, way down there. I'll show you in the debugger. Oh, look at that, I've run the tests already. Go figure. So when I run it, we get more tests, right? Surprisingly enough. And you can see here that these are basically going through. I've tested each of the products. I've tested to make sure that on any of the products that I can see that product 1 is good, you know, I've done a test for an empty, for a bad condition. I've called the actual focus method, and when the focus method what the focus method does is return, get this out of the way, and it returns right here in the focus. So I'm basically returning what the type is, what the package was that it's currently running in, and then some kind of an indicator to tell it that it's focus. And the same thing that happens on, well, unfocus. I've gone a little further on this one because on product 2, you can see here I have that other focus method. So even though and that's basically an override that that product could use, right? Typical object-oriented code. And I've got one more change. Give me a sec. I'll be back. Okay, so what I've done now is pretty much the essence now of Abstract Factory. This is the marrying of the factories and the products, and what it's going to be is going to be, I want to simply make a call. If I'm for instance, from factory 2, if you take a look here, this is, by the way, is all the tests that were just added. If I take a look here on factory 2, I see that I am marrying up product 2. And I make sure that that was legit, because otherwise I get a package. I think somewhere in here I'm testing and adding an invalid product, and it dies on an invalid product. So that would be on for, you can't go off of the line number, that's just the sequence of the test here. So for F2 I tried adding product 3. And if I take a look at my, where was that, factory 2, and if I try to add product 3, you see it's conveniently missing, and of course that's where it dies. These are tests. This is, well, for me, I probably use these at least 70% of the time. Your you're okay, your die's okay, your your one for testing arrays. Escapes me now, but I'm sure that probably in this lesson or the next we'll certainly get into that. So we've gone through now, we've tested what the actual linking of the products, and made sure that I can still add parameters. I'm seeing that show up right here. So that's basically it for Abstract Factory. You can add this, you can add more stuff to it as needed, but this gives it some flexibility now, because I can control the product list through what is actually on the factories without having to draw up code for each one of them. So it's kind of a savings. In this case, it's only, you know, a 3x3, but if I had 100 factories and 1,000 products, it could make a difference here in that particular case. And if I only had a handful of different products in the real world, then I would go this route. Anyhow, if you like this, send me an email. Check out my GitHub. GitHub, all those links will be at the bottom. And please feel free to comment and let me know what you think. Thank you, and have a good day.